Hi guys, we are here.
We're here.
We're back, and a lot's happened, but we're here, and
We're here.
we got it.
We're back. I am a so. But yeah, my in-laws had a death in the family, so that was, and it hit the community that they live in really hard. So that was took up a whole week. My sister also got a new car, so my sleep schedule has been out of whack for a while. At the same time, I have been proofreading to try to finalize my book. So all of my extra free time, what little time I had, was doing that, and it's taken me this long to get back into the hang of things. I've still kept up my reading streak. I have been reading every day. I haven't lost that. It may have been like 2 pages. There was one time I was going to bed and it was like 6 in the morning and I was like, I haven't read. So I ran into there in my what I sleep in and I grabbed the book off the shelf and I read a page to keep up my reading
That's
streak. Like
funny.
that's how, but I'm still into the books and stuff, which we'll get into. So
That's funny.
we can start. Like you seem like you've gone through a bunch of books. So
Oh,
how
I just
did you know what you were
finished.
reading?
Okay. So before everything hit, and like, the death in the family was also a student that I had of mine that I'd had in the past, and so like when she said it hit the community, it really hit the
It really
community.
did.
And so,
Yeah.
before that all happened, I finished Crescent City Book 2, and oh, the plot twist, I was not the okay, I was expecting this particular plot twist, but the
Mm-hmm.
rumors that I had heard said it was in book 3.
Oh, so you weren't
Things
expecting
happen.
it in book.
No, and I'm so excited for you to finish Throne of Glass. Okay, this. Okay, so this proves my point. Okay, not really, but kinda. Like, you need to know both series. You need to have everything read
Before you get
before
there.
you go to
Okay, so
Crescent
that is
City. Yes.
hard.
Um,
Okay.
I'm so excited. I was not expecting that particular ending. Well, I was expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it for book 2. So yeah, and then I read Deathly Hallows. That was the thing. Um,
Is that the
okay,
final Potter
yes.
book?
Okay,
They
spoiler alert
all
for
the juicy.
people. Like, I'm kind of disappointed that I knew about the deaths that I knew about, because none of the deaths
Okay.
hit me very hard, purely because I knew
Mm,
about everything. But
yeah.
there were a few points. Um, the whole concept of the Deathly Hallows being like the wand, I think it's like the stone, and then the invisibility cloak, like that whole concept. I didn't know anything
Mhm.
about that, so that one I thought was really cool. Like, the part that did get me though, I was a blubbering mess through a couple different parts. The first part being, okay, when he touches the stone that's like part of the Deathly Hallows stone. It's supposed to like bring back the dead, but in reality it just allows you to see their ghosts. It allows you to see, I guess, their spirit, essentially. And he touches it, and he sees his parents, and he's actually able to talk to them. And it's like current, not just like a shadow of them or like a memory. It's like them. And he sees Sirius. He sees like Remus, because at this point, Professor Lupin, because at this point he is also gone. And like all
Mhm.
of them there, and he has figured out, and because you've seen all the movies, right?
Yes, but like one time a long time ago, so my memory is like
Okay.
non-existent.
So, are you wanting
I know
spoilers, or not? Do you care or not?
I don't care about
Okay.
spoilers for Harry
Okay. So the whole
Potter.
point of like he's this whole book is essentially him figuring out where all the Horcruxes is and destroying all of them, because that's the only way that they could defeat Voldemort, was to destroy all the Horcruxes, which were like little pieces of his soul that he divided up in order to not die. Essentially, is the whole point. And so, um, Harry doesn't realize it until this book, towards the end of this book, that when Voldemort tried to kill him as a baby, and his mom's sacrifice, Voldemort's spell bounced. We know all that already. Bounced off of like ricocheted back onto him, but what he didn't realize is that in doing that, it split. Voldemort didn't realize this, and Harry didn't either until this book, but it split a second time. It split again and made Harry a living Horcrux. Normally it's just an item, it's not a living being. And so it made him one. And so in order to truly defeat Voldemort, he had to die.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, and it's just kind of interesting because before I actually started reading this, there's a couple at my church that talked about, like, biblical like, there's a few little biblical similarities. And it's, like, that concept of, like, I don't know, like the sacrifice
for the greater good kind of
thing.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting, but yeah.
Dying, and then I remember a scene where he was dead, but like no, I don't know. I remember all the details now. But.
And it's really interesting because he goes back into this in-between place and he sees and he gets to talk to Dumbledore again, and that's where it's like, honestly, at that point is probably the most vulnerable I've ever read of Dumbledore. Like, I feel like that's there's one other time where he's been really vulnerable like that, but he was in, like, a really intense pain. And so it's like, but this one is like him just, like, expressing his feelings, expressing his regrets and his insecurities, and I'm like, Dumbledore feels like a human being. Like, it's just like, he doesn't, but at the same time, he's like just happy. He's happy and joyful and just like, he doesn't have any worries anymore, and it's really kind of cool. But, like, it was that conversation he had with Dumbledore that, like, was bawling. I was bawling at different points. And then it was also, what really got me, and I was, like, blubbering, was that conversation that he had with his parents and how, like, it was just, because there was one part where it was just, he was talking to them, and it was like, you're almost there, and I don't know, it was just, they were kind of walking with him and kind of leading him, like, because he was walking to, it kind of reminds me of how in Narnia, when Aslan goes to the White Witch and willingly dies. It's essentially the same thing that happens, is that he goes to Voldemort and willingly dies in order to, to get rid of that last Horcrux so he could ultimately defeat Voldemort in the end. And it's just, like, because he was, like, scared, and he, like, it was just, I don't know, it was just, like, his parents being there with him and being like, it's almost over. Like, we're so proud, and they're talking about how proud of him they were. I couldn't even remember, honestly, because the whole thing, I was just, it was really good. Yeah. It was good, though. And it was a pretty satisfying ending, but I'm, like, so excited to read Cursed Child. Like, I'm excited for that. And my college friend, her name's Katie. I talked to her about, like, because I'd heard a lot of people were talking about, like, there's kind of, like, when Cursed Child came out, there was a lot of hate with it. And, I guess it doesn't really, there are some points that kind of mess up the canon, I guess, or something. But, like, it's essentially about their children and stuff. And it's like, I'm really excited to actually read it. And it's like, I'm the type of person that, unless it's painfully obvious that they've messed up some kind of, like, if it's very extremely obvious that they've messed up a piece of canon, like the whole Rey defeating Sidious after Anakin already defeated him, like, that's really obvious, an obvious screw up of the canon, like, that's obvious. But it's like, if it's something small, I'm not a nitpicker reader in that sense, that it's like, it probably won't bother me too much if it's a very minute small thing that only, like, super fans would know. Like, it probably won't bother me that much, but if it's something obvious and, like, huge, like a completely changed, like if Harry's no longer humble and he's really arrogant, like blows people, like, that would be, like, a big change to me. Like, if it's, like, a character's personality, like, without any kind of level of growth or development, if, like, a character is, like, something like, maybe, like, they're really arrogant and originally they were really humble in the show, like, in the main series, like, that kind of thing might bother me. But, like, I'm excited for it just in general. But yeah. And now I'm reading Eldest, and I'm kind of slowly
This
getting
is the
into
second
it.
book?
Yeah, second out of five.
Okay.
I don't have book. I don't have book four.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
only that's a green one. The green one. I don't have that one.
Yeah.
I don't have this one, but I
Yeah.
have all the others. But yeah, I'm slowly getting into it. I was reading on some more of it today. Like the first chapter of it, like I don't know, it felt like something it felt like it should have been like a big thing, which is kind of glazed
Mm-hmm.
over in the first chapter, so that kind of threw me off. Like
Right.
like not a main character, but like some type of like character death, like right off the bat, and it was kind of glazed over, and I'm like, oh,
That's kind of jolting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, that, and I don't want to use up my Audible credits, so I've been trying to find ways to listen to the audiobooks, and Hoopla only has it in Spanish. So I'm like, ugh. I may have to read this one instead of doing a
Yeah.
hybrid bounce back and forth read. But,
Yeah.
all right, how's your book
Maybe a
going?
lot of it. I'm still reading Queen of Shadows and I'm still enjoying it. I did kind of slow down, but it's just mostly just
Yeah.
in the evening. There's a lot of other stuff going on. So I'm usually reading a few pages a night, maybe a chapter. It kind of has slowed down a little bit, but I'm still enjoying it. It's
Yeah.
just more of like we're kind of just kind of cruising along. I'm
Yeah.
assuming we're going to build up to the end. When Rowan showed up, it kind of got exciting. I don't have a lot of time because I've been playing catch up
Mm-hmm.
with just finally getting to sit down and brainstorm and just work on some fun projects I want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't want to waste that time. And then also Ryan Trahan on YouTube is doing a new series and I'm addicted. So he's doing one video every day as
Mm-hmm.
he travels to a different state every day.
Oh,
So it's
cool.
50 states in 50 days. And it's all a fundraiser, but I am so addicted. So I have to watch his videos on the evening and everything. So I'm enjoying it. Like I said, when Rowan came in, things have gotten interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my husband because the big thing that actually, when I've been reading a lot, we've been watching Survivor, and I caught him up on 48, and then we went backwards and did 47. The commercials on Paramount are so long. So I literally will read on commercials when we're watching that show, and that's when I
I
get my
feel
reading
like
time in mostly.
I feel like as a society we've reverted back to the 90s, like the early 2000, like the 2000s, because I used to do my homework during commercials in between like Dancing with the Stars or like Smallville on Fridays or Survivor when we watched that for a while. Like it's just like I feel like we've reverted back to this.
You know, so I'll read on commercials. And so I was reading right after Rowan came in, and him and Aoden are like masculine testosterone.
And testosterone off, yeah.
I'm like, I have a new trope I like. And he goes, what's that? And I'm like, gay males being testosterone and
Yeah.
protective and territorial. And I'm like, and I was reading him some lines, and he goes, that's nice, babe. And I'm just like,
I loved Michael. Go crack his up. That's nice. You two need to do that trend where you recommend you pick one of your like what book that you would read, one of your favorites, and he picks one of his favorites, and you swap, and you both have to swap and read. Like I've seen people on TikTok do that.
I brought it up to him, but he doesn't read anymore. He reads on his phone.
It could be. It could be a phone. It could be an ebook. That's fine. It could be an ebook.
I've been trying. I want him to. But yeah, so Rowan came in, and Aoden and him were kind of just masculine testosterone, and I loved that whole thing and how insecure. It was like one line that really got me was like something about how Aoden was a cub. Like you don't even know anything.
Yeah. I love Rowan so much.
When he found out that Rowan took the blood oath, and I actually took his side in it, but I found it fascinating because it's like you go to Rowan's, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can understand why Aoden's mad, and he said something that he shouldn't have to Aelin and stuff. But then you go to Rowan's perspective, and he understands how Aoden was feeling. Like if he ever says anything like that to her again, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see how that was out of line. So she does really good with other perspectives. Let's see, where am I at now? I think. Oh, I just got to the part where Aelin was showing Rowan around town. So I love that Rowan's here, like finally. Yeah. And she took him to the opera house, but it's like empty, and she played for him. I swear, Sarah J. Maas is like a dance music like she writes dance scenes and music and stuff like that so beautifully. and I thought it was such a really beautiful moment between them where he just lets her play
Mm-hmm.
and he feels that emotion that she does from the music again.
Yes.
And it was just like, ugh. And then it's like he seemed to struggle for words, but he finally breathed. Show me how you did that. So she obliged him. And I'm just like, oh my God, that's such a cute line.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so then, little accident with book of the month. So I canceled my book of the month for June.
Mm-hmm.
I canceled before June even hit. This was like way back in May. For whatever reason, they still gave me my choice for June. I didn't like any of the hardback choices, so I scrolled through the audiobooks and it was the same thing, but they had one book that was different that they didn't have a physical book for. And it was I can never remember the title. The River is Waiting by Wally Lamb
Mm-hmm.
is the book that they had, and I actually have it on my main phone, but that's what I'm using
Yeah.
Discord for right now.
Yeah.
So I got it anyway, even though I canceled Book of the Month.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna like give this a listen and just see what it sounds like, because it's like it seemed like it was this guy that gets into prison and his struggles in prison.
Yeah.
And my military romantic suspense series is going that direction with one of my characters, and so I wanted to kind of get that. And I also love that kind of stuff. Like Prison Break is one of my favorite TV shows ever,
Yeah.
and I love Prison Break, so I
Mm-hmm.
love that kind of vibe. And I actually got in this really interesting habit where I would have my main phone, sit it on my chest, and play the audiobook. And I have a game on this old phone here
Mm-hmm.
that is kind of similar to Mahjong, where you're matching pairs. And I would literally, I'm like level 100 in this game because I would just sit there and play levels and listen to the audiobook for hours. So I'm like 60% of the way through the book.
Cool.
Um, Basically he and his marriage is kind of falling apart. He got fired from his job, so he's kind of taking care of the kids, and his wife's the breadwinner, and he's really struggling with, like, he had a dad that was very verbal, and I was like, oh my God, relatable. But it was like it hits so hard because he has a lot of insecurities in himself as a man. And so he's been secretly drinking and not telling her about it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also got anxiety medication, and the two kind of mixed,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't a good combo. And one day he put his kids in the car. He didn't double check that they were buckled in, and one of them was behind the car when he ran over the kid. And so he goes to prison, and his marriage is falling apart. He's falling apart, and it's just like this really
Yeah.
intense, dramatic story. And it deals a lot with grief and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And so I was doing this like every night, and then of course the big actual grief thing happened, so I haven't gone back to it yet because it's just been really heavy. And I'm like, okay, little not right now good timing,
Yeah.
but I really am into the book and stuff. And then a lot of it is like, now that we're in prison, like some of the prison scenarios are really interesting, but some of them are getting kind of off on like a little tangent. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a few more liberal kind of ideologies where it's like it deals with a lot of the racial stuff that's going on in the prison system. And it got on this tangent where he met this guy who was kind of native, some native tribe. And you know me, I love Native American stuff, but like this whole chapter was just him reading a book that went over the history of this one native tribe. And I'm like, if I want to do that, I'll go get my Crazy Horse book and I'll actually read about the history. And it was kind of like I'm not seeing the connection. And
Yeah.
you can see that the author had some very specific talking points that the author wanted to bring out as
Yeah.
themes, and a big portion of that is focusing on that,
Yeah.
which is fine. Like if you want to do that as an author, I just kind of want to get back to the story and not have so many point like. And this would be anything. Like
Yeah.
one book that I read one time did it with baseball, and the guy was like a baseball player, and it was like one whole chapter, nothing happened. He just went over baseball history and stats and information, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this book. Um,
Yeah. I
so
feel like
I
there's a more
found
creative way of doing that without just like info dumping in one single chapter. I feel like there's a more creative way of like sprinkling that information into dialogue or into situations or like short descriptions here and there and like sprinkling it out throughout the story. I feel like would be a more like like
dumping it.
yeah, just
Yeah.
a more like
Yeah.
there's a word I'm looking for.
But
I can't think of it.
the narrator is actually, I don't know if you remember the Spider-Man movies.
Mm-hmm.
In one of them, there is this guy that was like the Sandman, and I think they brought him back in the new Marvel
Yeah.
movie, and he
Mm-hmm.
was one of the villains. That actor is a really good actor, and he's
Mm-hmm.
played in a lot of other things, and I love his voice. He has this really grovelly, kind of just
Mm-hmm.
really nice voice. He's the narrator,
Oh,
and
cool.
he has such a wide variety of characterization because he obviously does the wife, And whenever she's on screen, as I like to call it, because it's, I don't know, audiobook, because I'm, again, like just listening, so my brain is like visualizing things differently when it's an audiobook than reading it
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Yeah.
And kind of wondering as I'm playing the, tile matching game. And I know when she's talking because he softens his voice, and I'm like, okay, that's his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And, so like, it's just like his characterization is so, he did the kids, and it's been really fun. And right now, the character, other than the Native American reading thing, because he's trying to get a job at the library, and so that's a big portion of it. But he's
Mm-hmm.
having issues with a guard who doesn't like him, and the
Mm-hmm.
guards in the system, like, you can't really. The author did a lot of research in the prison system and how it works, especially for people who are in there for, like, they're good people, but they had like, they didn't, like him, he didn't mean to kill his kid, it wasn't his fault, it was an accident, but he still got manslaughter, that court sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And his was because he was drunk while he did it, not
Yeah.
necessarily because of the crime itself. But anyway, so he does research about the prison system, and so it's like really realistic. And sometimes when you have guards that are corrupt like that, there's not a whole lot that the prisoner or the inmate can do.
Yeah.
And so I'm expecting that plot line with the guard to have a big blow up at some point, because the
Yeah.
tension, he threw out his cell, which is when they throw out all of your stuff and they just destroy it. Like, he actually poured some junk all over the guy's drawings, and like he would, and some of his other kid had brought in some drawings, and that like ruined it. And I'm like, you
Mm-hmm.
are an a-hole, sir, and I don't like you. And there's like, you're the one who has to clean it up, and there's nothing you can do, because there was quote contraband when there wasn't. It was just like, so I'm expecting the tension between him and this guard
Mm-hmm.
to build up. But
Yeah.
um I was balanced. I would go between that and Queen of Shadows, and like, I would put the audiobook down in the game. Like, okay, I'm tired of playing the game right now, so I would read Queen of
Mm-hmm.
Shadows, and then I would go back and forth. And so
Mm-hmm.
um, that was the big thing going on. And then those are the only two books that I'm actually reading, but I am actually proofreading my book Survivor right now. I'm hoping to release it in July. So, and I was wanting to have it done by mid-June, so I'm slowing down because I've only been able to do a chapter a day just because everything's been chaotic. And because I wanted to start planning the Kickstarter by now, and I haven't finished. I want to finalize the book before I start planning the
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter, but I haven't done a cover reveal yet, so this can kind of give you guys a little bit of hints of everything on the cover. But as you can see, I am almost out of all of my colors because that's what's going on. So I have a nice little system. These are all quotes. I've got so many good quotes. I didn't actually pull a lot of good quotes for Immortal for like graphics and stuff, but I'm excited. There's a lot of good
Sweet.
one-liners. Um, these are all edits, and then these are all things that I want Michael to check and things to remember. So
Oh, sweet.
uh,
Cool.
yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm at the end of it, so I've only got this much left to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so good. I'm so excited. And I had this cute little notebook that I've been using to take notes because I want to line my notes up with my editor and make sure, I can't really show you guys the details, but there's a lot, like the timeline and character things and just stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I'm really excited about that and really into that. And then I also had a book haul, really quickly. So I don't know, at some point we went to Target, and I had some extra money to spend. So I've heard Abby Jimenez, I've heard that she's a really good author and that she does rom-coms that deal with more serious kind of topics. And I'm kind of like interested in that kind of stuff. And I've been meaning to actually get this book just for the summer for the longest time. Um, and I actually started reading the opening because I have a bad habit of buying a book and then I open it up and then I read like the first chapter and something loses my attention. And so I try to check really carefully, like I read the first page to make
Mm-hmm.
sure I am actually interested in it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like she doesn't have a lot of good luck with love, so she's had a lot of breakups and stuff. And then she ends up finding this Reddit thread from this guy named Justin who's gone viral, and the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be unbelievably cute and hilarious. And then her toxic mother shows up, and he has to assume guardianship of his three siblings, so things get kind of serious and stuff. So one of my author booktubers that I read really loved this book, and so I really wanted to give it a try. And it actually opens up with the Reddit thread, and it was like, am I the a-hole, basically one of those
I
posts.
love
And I'm
it. Yeah.
like, I love those.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like
That's
really
cool.
intrigued. Next one, same kind of genre. Fragile Sanctuary. So this one is she's trying to get her house fixed up, and he's the guy that's going to be fixing her house or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, brother's best friend. He's the contractor working on our house. He's everything I'm not. Grumpy, rude, and more than a little attached to his solitude. I'm a sucker for a grumpy sunshine trope where the guy
Mm-hmm.
wants to be alone. He hates everything. And she's like this bubbly little charismatic thing trying to bring light into his life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that is my thing. I am so addicted to grumpy sunshine tropes. And then, the world comes crashing down around her and he's the one who's there for her. And so but he has secrets and they come with a price. And I'm like, I
Mm.
want to know what those secrets are. So this is another one that she read, and she actually did enjoy the whole series, which was Sparrow Falls. And I noticed this
Oh, cool.
author has different Sparrow Falls is one of them, but she has other ones. I don't remember what their names are.
Mm-hmm.
And the opening of this actually starts off with a scene when she's in the car with her mom and her best friend, and she's like 13 and they're talking about boys and like what her first kiss was like, and it's
Mm-hmm.
such a teenage thing, kind of cute.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in that one as well. My goal is to still stay in Sarah J Maas's universe right now. Um so and go on from here to read the next few ones. So
Mm-hmm.
um but yeah, I'm kind of waiting for something a little bit more action packed to happen because there's just kind of like not a whole lot going on. They were tracking the Valg people and they went to the new version of the, was it the pits or something? I can't remember
Mm-hmm.
what it was called.
Yeah.
Um, and I think she fought in there to kind of lure them out or something. So that was kind of the last big plot thing I remember, other than Rowan showing up. And then on Manon side of things, or Manon, whatever her name
Manon.
is,
Yeah.
she she's gotten a lead to admit that she's a witch or whatever, has witch blood, and is using her to try to get in that room to find out what's in there. But I don't really remember what else. I think that's about it. On She hasn't gotten into the room yet, so um, we haven't gone back to Dorian's perspective. I'm still sad every time Aelin and Kale fight because it's
Yeah.
like they just can't see eye to eye on
They'll be doing
anything.
that
It's
for a
like,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't. I feel like Dorian's holding a grudge for her killing, like going to kill Dorian, and I
Yeah.
see both perspectives on that because if he really is gone, killing him would be a mercy. But then it's like you always want to hold out hope that you can save. I'm holding out hope that they can save him. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want him dead.
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen with that. So, but he seems like he's just really, like, bitter is kind of the wrong word, but like I guess bitter is a good word, but
Yeah.
he's starting to like not like Aelin or distrust her, or I don't want to use hate because hate's
Yeah.
not, he doesn't hate
It
her,
always
but
he when he gets it when he gets into those mindsets it always irritated me because he knew from the get go that she wasn't a good person. He knew right off the bat she wasn't some jewel thief. He knew that she was some type of assassin or some type of big thief, or like they literally pulled her out of Endovia, for God's sakes. Like, come on. And you're telling me this is such a all right, sorry. I got okay. We gotta talk. We gotta talk calmer because your voice is breaking in and out.
are we doing it?
When your
Um,
voice goes up
no,
a register, it completely blacks out your words, and so
I'm
it's just
so
your mouth moving. And I'm like, oh wait.
funny. No, I actually thought the
Yeah,
same thing because he's had several things like, oh, we can't believe she did this. I'm
yeah,
like, why not? She's an assassin. You should have known better.
yeah, yeah.
And I feel like I
That's
don't know if they're written
but
that way intentionally,
yeah,
but it's kind of like it's annoying in the sense that, okay, you're an idiot, like you should have known to
yeah,
expect this kind of behavior from her
yeah,
type of character,
yeah,
and you knew what she was from the start, and I don't understand how he ever really fell for her
yeah.
if he hates that side of her,
Yes,
when that's big
yes,
for her. She hasn't changed. She's actually more just
yeah.
kind of embraced her fake heritage, if anything.
And
I have
that's
a
where
question for you,
yeah.
explanation on
Okay.
after your comment. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just gonna comment about anyway. Never
Okay.
mind. It
Okay.
it pertains to a later book,
So
so we don't worry about it right now. So you just make your question.
um I'm confused about Aelin's age because Aedan seems to think when, okay, Aedan's
Avion,
whole father was revealed,
Avion,
and
yeah.
yeah, his father was revealed, and now he's concerned that he may outlive Aelin, and I thought she was actually fully Fae, so I'm wondering why she's not going to
She's
age
not.
old like Fae, because I
She's
thought
not
she had
fully
mentioned that with
Fae.
Rowan too.
She's not fully
She's
Fae.
not.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that confused me because I'm not sure about the. Because I
She's
thought that was kind of the whole thing
it's
about
half
her
and
is that
half.
she's the heir. So how is she the heir if she's not fully Fae? That
It'll
to me
explain
didn't
it.
make.
It'll explain it later.
Oh,
But she's half human. That's
okay,
why
because I was really.
that's why she has that's why she can look human. Part of
Okay,
the reason.
yeah. I thought that was just like her shift, like all Fae can shift, and her particular shift is into a human. But
Nope, she's half and half.
okay, well that is a confusing
There's
point
more
for
to
me.
there's more to it, but again, later books will go into more detail. But things
One of
happen.
those questions later.
Yeah.
Also, not my fault because I haven't been on Pinterest.
No, you're
I
good.
was
Don't
scrolling
don't get on Pinterest. Don't get on Pinterest. It's bad. Fan art is fan artists are wonderful, but they have no mercy at all. There's a handful of them that will blur their picture before they show it, and you have to swipe to the right to see it. But yeah,
through.
most fan artists are not merciful towards
Yeah.
people that are currently reading books because they will just
I saw
no
something
spoiler
else.
warning, nothing.
I saw something else. Most of my Instagram newsfeed is like bookish content, but also dog memes, and I've been having so much fun with the dog memes. They are so funny. So I'm scrolling through these dog reels, and all of a sudden I see like I don't know if it was like a text or something because it wasn't art. It was
Yeah.
just like a somebody's caption of they said something about Lorcan and Elide, and then it was like Manon, and
Elite.
it was like a meme of like Manon trying to accept her best friend's boyfriend, but she hates him. And I was just like, Elite and
Oh,
Lorcan? Like, and I was like, wait, I'm not supposed to see
Lucy.
that, so I clicked on it because it
Lucy.
may not even be.
Lucy and in the lead.
But I thought it was Lorcan, not Lucian. Lucian's Akatar.
Oh, is it Lorcan? Yeah, they're so close. They're so similar. But yeah,
Lorcan and Lucian.
Lorcan.
But yeah, it
Yeah,
was Lorcan
Elide.
and Elide.
Yeah.
Elite, whatever.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that was the thing. I was like, oh, okay, so that's gonna connect somehow. Also, I was talking to my husband about this too when I was reading the book because I really like how you go in with the Rowan and kind of like Rowan's friends, his like little crew, like from the last book. You kind of expect that to be kind of like the Bat Boys from Akatar, where they're like besties and they get
They're
along,
not.
but you don't, and it actually
No,
is
they're
very
not.
different.
Yeah. Oh
They're
yeah.
actually scared Morgan may be a threat right now, and I'm like, okay, he's not like Cassian, like
No.
I expected. They didn't help her in the last battle, and I'm like, okay, you're a little bit,
Yeah.
and so it's like it's really I like that it's different. I'm a
Yeah.
little sad because I was expecting them to be like bros,
Yeah. No,
and I'm
they're
like, I
not.
kind of the bro stuff,
They
but it's
have.
not going to be. Like,
They They I yeah, they won't ever get to the closest level that Akatar is. Akatar Bat Boys are. They're not to that level. Like things will
yeah.
improve over time or change over time for some characters. Like I'm not gonna tell you who with whether and whatever, but like things will adjust and change over time, but I wouldn't read their characters expecting a Reese, Cassian and um what's his
Asriel.
face Azrael's. Yeah, they're not. That's not their vibe. Which is
Yeah,
nice
so
because
I
it's
thought,
good, a good adjustment.
yeah,
But for sure, like it's a good
yeah.
change. But yeah. Also,
I want to
don't
watch Morgan
let
so bad.
don't don't okay. One thing that really bothers me when people read Akatar is hate towards Tower of Dawn, and I'm not going to go into any detail at all. It's a very chaos centered book, and
Okay.
there are so many lore drops and plot twists and shockers in that book that it's like
Mm-hmm.
people are like, oh, and especially when people that are doing their tandem read, they're like, oh, I was just rushing through the Tower of Dawn chapters to get back to Empire of Storms because there's so much happening in Empire of Storms. Like, the two books have a completely different vibes, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it really, really bothers me when people are like, oh, I just speeding through these chapters, the Tower of Dawn chapters, to get back to Aelin and the Empire of Storms. And it's like, the the journey that you are taken through in Tower of Dawn is completely necessary. And it
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah. That's a thought that I've seen a few people like just in scrolling through TikTok and stuff and Instagram and whatnot, reels and whatnot. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are so quick to talk about how they think, like, because if you compare the pacing of Empire Dawn to like the pacing and action of Empire of Storms compared to Tower of Dawn, it's gonna feel different. And it's like you're gonna go from like because I what I assume because I read them separately, but it's like this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and with Empire of Storms, whereas Tower of Dawn, it's like a slow building, you know, world building, slow going, not slow, but it's like a lot of like world building, plot building type of things that it's not like constant action. And so it's like, you know what I'm saying? And that's like kind of like because I know you've said that you're going to read the tandem read, and so it's kind of like my concern is like I don't want you to hate Tower of Dawn, and I don't want you to kind of like I just don't want it to be one of those things where you like speed through Tower of Dawn and like aren't loving it, because yes, it's not like my favorite book of the series, but it's like Kale needs that book, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He needs that book.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you'll like it. I think, because you like Kale. You liked Kale, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really do like his character. Some of his perspectives are kind of a little bit slower now. Yeah. I don't hate him. It's definitely better than like Manon.
Good. Because I think a lot of people go into that book hating him, and it's like they end Queen of Shadows hating Kale, and then they're like, I don't want to read a book about Kale. Can I just skip this whole book? And it's like, no, because one of the biggest plot twists in the entire series happens at the end of that book. Sorry. I get passionate about this. And I can't go into detail because you're not there yet. But, yeah.
I've been leaning more toward reading them like you did, because I had a valid reason, but my brain forgot it. I just feel like I don't know which one would be best, but like the reason to do them in tandem, I think, is the pacing and like not wanting to feel like you're going backwards, and then me actually worrying that I'm not gonna like Tower of Dawn if it feels like I had to stop the plot line, go back in time for a slower book. I may get more annoyed with doing it that way, as opposed to if you're doing it like a big book and you're reading bits and pieces. But I also want to soak them in the way they're meant to be. Like, you know, where like you said, they're very different books, so it's like you got to go into a different mindset.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get stuck on Tower of Dawn, given that I love Queen of Shadows, and I've been slowing down on it, and it's like really good. It's just not quite. I feel like I don't know for sure because I haven't read the rest of the series, so Kingdom of Ash may well be my favorite. But I feel like Heir of Fire is starting to set up to be almost one of my favorites in the series. Like, it definitely is by far right. But,
yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of just.
And I commented on somebody's, I can't remember if it was Instagram or TikTok or what it was, but my explanation was that, like, I feel like if you read them separately, now if you go online, people will talk about how tandem reads the way to go nonstop. They'll talk about how, like, reading Assassin's Blade in the middle is the way to go. Like, people are really diverse on their opinions on how to read them. But it's like, for me personally, when I read Empire Storms, there's stuff that happens at the end that it's like shocking. Like, what just happened? And then you go back and then you read Kale's perspective as all of that's going on. You kind of shift back. It's like a section of like weeks or whatever. Like, it's not like, if you think about it in the span of time with the book, it's not like you're going back 5 years. You're literally going back maybe like a couple months. And it's like, but if people aren't big on like fantasy readers, like epic fantasy readers that are used to multi-plot, like multiple timelines and like if people aren't used to reading that, then the tandem read may be good for them because like they're not used to that concept of going back in time. And it's like, but by the time you get to the end of Tower of Dawn, the ending of Tower of Dawn completely changes the game for the end of Empire of Storms. But the thing for me, if you read them tandemly,
doing it that way, the hype for the last book is going to be higher because you've waited. You've read Tower of Dawn.
Yes.
You've been on cliffhanger forever, and so you're just ready for Kingdom of Ash. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Like the best way I can describe Kingdom of Ash, it's literally Avengers Endgame. It's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, but the thing is like the end of Tower of Dawn, like if you like, my thing is I haven't read them tandem read, so I can't confirm this, but in my head,
Yeah.
I feel like the shock of the ending of Tower of Dawn is muted if you read them tandem, because I don't know, like you read that and then you would
You're
read the
reading
ending of
the
Empire of
same.
Storms, and it's not like
Yeah.
they're like, it's not as shocking. But whereas if you read the end of Storms, Empire of Storms, you think it's one way, and then you get to the end of the next book, and then it's like, oh my god, like this is like, are you serious? That's what that, you know what I'm saying? Like it has like that gut dropping, like it just got 1,000 times worse. That whole feel,
I'm
and it's like
gonna
if
read
yes,
tonight and
also
make some progress, like real
also
progress.
also it's like, also my reading stamina, if you put those two books together and tell me that I'm going to read that in a month, like no.
No,
I would
no
I
way.
would I would lose interest in the series, because my reading stamina is very visually oriented. So if you give me a giant book with a bunch of small chapters, I will have that giant book read like that, because I'm thinking, oh, I'm making lots of progress all the time because the chapters are shorter. And it's like I'm constantly making progress, I'm constantly in a new chapter, and it's like my brain's like, oh, cool, I'm reading this really quickly. Whereas if you do something like that, where it's like I'm having to close this book and open this book, and both books are at the beginning of the book, and it doesn't look like I'm making giant progress as I'm going, and it's like my brain
Yeah.
would just short circuit and just completely lose interest, because I just
Yeah.
visual. That's why I am a very visual reader. And I don't know if it's because of the whole like me being a crappy reader when I was younger. I don't know if it's that whole what all affects that, but that's how my brain works. But you mentioned Kickstarter earlier, and I was gonna earlier on. Remember that controversy with Britt and Andrews, the girl that
Yeah.
started a Kickstarter for a book she hadn't even wrote yet, and then proceeds to wait several years and never actually finish publishing the book. Apparently, it's still in the works, allegedly. But people have spent like lots of money on this. It's like literally like a 10,000. I think it's like $10,000 on Kickstarter. It's like an insane amount.
$1,000. It
How
was like
much?
$90,000.
It's an
ninety
insane.
thousand
So
Like,
apparently, and
true.
on
And the average person is like 10 to 20 is like the higher end for some of the better Kickstarters for books. So you're talking 10 to 20 is pretty normal, and
yeah,
that's amazing for average authors.
yeah,
90 is absolutely insane. For a
yeah,
game, that may be normal because they're like making
uh
the
huh,
software and producing a
yes,
game and like, you know, building all the pieces, whatever the case is. So
yeah,
games, that's pretty normal.
yeah,
But people have to understand, for a book, that is insane.
yeah,
Like, that is an insane
yes,
amount of. I
and
actually want to know what the highest one is.
yeah.
Brandon
Well,
Sanderson.
and the thing is that apparently it's not only Kickstarter that she owes people things. Apparently people have bought stuff on her website, and she still has, and she hasn't given them the stuff either. And apparently
Mm-hmm.
this was like from May. It's May 28th was in Crystal. It's like Lee Loves books underscore on TikTok. It's like Crystal Lee Reads is the name of the lady that posts this in May. But essentially, apparently she says that she's going to give people their money back for the things that they bought on her website, but she's not refunding people for the Kickstarter bit. And in the comments, they made somebody in the comments was like, I need her to just get a loan out and refund everyone for everything, because the original Kickstarter money is in that restaurant she runs. So supposedly, allegedly, and the Crystal commented back and put stars and said allegedly. So, because like you can't get in trouble if you say allegedly if you're making claims about someone. So if you say allegedly they did this, so they're not actually saying that, like making accusations. But apparently, and you had mentioned this too, and we talked about this earlier, apparently she bought this plot for a restaurant, or like a restaurant, around the same time that she started the Kickstarter. And so a lot of people are thinking that the whole Kickstarter is a scam, for her to get to buy this restaurant, and it's just this whole mess. And you were talking about
Yeah.
planning your Kickstarter, and it's like,
applause to you for actually having the physical book in your hands that you're going to start planning the Kickstarter for. Like, applause to you.
Like, all these things, I'm not even gonna start planning the Kickstarter until I get all this fixed and this is finalized, and I know it's good.
But the fact that the book's actually written is like, applause to you. But yeah.
It's like, you know, for like the mindset of like, I can't announce that I'm writing a book on Instagram because I don't know if I'm going to finish it or not. And like, my brain will not let me talk about the books that I'm writing until after I finish. But I'm working on a creative project. I'm not talking about it. I don't want to jinx anything. And it's like, to me, it's just so insane to make a Kickstarter or even a book that you haven't edited yet, much less a book that you haven't written yet. Like, I can't understand my brain. And then the fact that Kickstarter, their terms and conditions apparently are so vague that there's nothing being done about it.
Like, and there's nothing really they can do about it. And she's like like people have filed with their banks, and she's disputing the claims with the bank, and it's insane.
If you had money, you wouldn't dispute people in the bank, allegedly.
But like it's like, what was something that, oh, you're talking about writers announcing things. Rebecca Yarros posted on Instagram. She had 3 pens, and she had a sticky note that said, "I'm back." And so she said she was back from her vacation with her family, and apparently she's starting to write her next contemporary novel. And she's like, "No, it's not Empyrean 4. Let me just pull up the post that I saw, because I like how she worded that. She's like, "No," she's like, before people ask, she's like, "No, it's not Empyrean 4, which is like Onyx Storm for people that don't know, like Fourth Wing series." But her comment was, "Back from vacation, back at the desk, summer hours, of course," and she put a winky face, and she said, "I had this story in my head since October, and I'm so freaking excited to finally plot it out and get it on the board. Plotting playlist vibes has been immaculate," and she put immaculate in all caps, and she put a heart, and she said, "Before anyone asks, this is the next contemporary novel, not Empyrean 4. Why? Question mark. Because contracts are contracts, that's why. And I'd write this first anyways, since the characters won't leave me alone. I'll always alternate contemporary books with fantasy to keep my brain happy, and I hope you guys will love this one as much as I already do. Time to work." And so it's like, I don't know. I just feel like she was being like transparent as a writer, and I like, knowing you and knowing all the process that you go through, it's like, I appreciate that. I appreciate how transparent she is. It's like, this is not the book because I have obligations to write this book, but also like the characters won't leave me alone. And you've talked about that before, like when you're writing, the characters just completely take control of the plot as you write. And it's like, I don't know. It felt very transparent to me. Okay, I have yapped a lot, and I know you have stuff to talk about too, but so it's like,
no, you're fine. I love hearing. As a writer, I really love hearing about it, because that's kind of like I remember when I was writing my mafia romance. It's not a traditional mafia romance. My main character girl is a Christian, and my main character Damon, I didn't have a plot, like an outline, and so every day it was like, what's Damon gonna do next? Like, I had so much fun with Damon and Sophia because I never knew what in the heck Damon was gonna do, and like, I remember one scene very vividly with Sophia, and her best friend literally, like, drops in from a balcony above her and was like, "I have something," and it's just like, "We've got this in the suitcase, we gotta go," you know, and it's just like, what is going on? And it's just like, your character's just running away from you, and like, relatable, that whole thing that a story, like, when it's time for you to write a story, like, it won't leave you alone. Like, that is so relatable. So,
for sure.
So the Instagram thing reminded me of something that I found that I was following just from I'm a fan of the book, I'm a fan of the author, and it wasn't originally going to be something that I was going to talk about, but I just found it really fascinating. So, Callie Hart Quicksilver, apparently she's been doing a lot of different special editions lately, and there was this, she announced on Instagram, well, actually it wasn't her, I think it's a publisher that she works with, announced a collector's edition of Quicksilver, and it looks really good and it's really exciting. So a couple of things that happened in here. Number one is they're not shipping to the US because it's a UK based company, and with the everything going on, apparently it's too expensive to ship to the US, so we get cut out of it. So everybody was like, no shipping to the US, and like sobbing emojis and stuff. Second thing was the edges. Instead, they have sprayed edges, but instead of like, you know how sprayed edges have like a design?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this case, it has character art. And because it's in a sprayed edge, it's kind of like, it looks cool, but it seems like it could look like they're squished. Because it's like,
Yeah, that
book.
happens. That's, yeah, to be
So
expected.
some people complain about that. And then apparently it's like, I don't know what
The
the
entitlement of
process
people these days, the entitlement of readers these days is completely appalling. It's annoying.
Yeah. So the other thing, I don't know what I'm trying to think of the term, but the money like from here to the UK, like
Marketing,
the
yeah.
difference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the
Um,
conversion rate.
yeah.
The word. From what I understand, it's like $80
Yeah. No.
for this book.
No.
For a book that is book one that you already own, because most of us are waiting for book two coming out in November.
Nope.
And so it is like they're like, because I know readers are complaining and like I actually don't like that a lot, but then you actually have a lot of valid comments that are like, this is way too expensive, there's no way I'm paying this much money. And then other people felt like they were kind of ripping them off, and they weren't accusing Callie Hart directly, it was like the publishing company, because they have had so many special editions of Quicksilver. It's like, oh, here's another one, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, you know, like, why
Honestly,
do we need all these special?
The way I see it, the people that are continue to buy those special editions are the ones that are the reason why these big publishing companies are continuing to market the special editions and make like 15 different special editions. If everyone would stop buying them, then they would stop making so many. But because you have those select few people that want to buy are collectors of every single version of a book, they're never going to stop making them now. Now that it's become a thing, they're never going to stop because those people buy every single copy that they can get their hands on. And it's like, you're giving them money.
Well, it's like the average person can't really complain because it's kind of more designed for it.
Whereas there's me going to thrift books to buy a used copy because my bank account is crying. And it's like people are buying this $80 copy of a book, and it's like, I'm going to go to thrift books to buy book 4 of the Aragon series for $5.
Yeah, well, like me, they have a proof copy and not anything unique or special. It's a $10 proof copy. Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, well, I mean, if I had the money and had the reader base for it, I would absolutely be making special editions right and left, so I can't really complain about that.
Yeah.
Some more Quicksilver news. I'm just going to rope the Quicksilver stuff in one lump.
That works.
So, they also announced this was from their last one was from a publisher connected with her. This is from Callie Hart on her Instagram page. She's like, I'm not chill. If Quicksilver was my soul, then Brimstone Book 2 is my rebirth. OMG, I'm so dramatic. But for real, though, you can now pre-order Book 2 in hardback deluxe and in audio. And the Anthony and Stella, the narrators from the first one, are coming back. So that's the hype that I have to talk. I'm like, I actually considered pre-ordering the audiobook just because Anthony and Stella, like they did, it was like Stella is the main narrator, but Anthony does all the guy parts. So it's a cool narration, and he is amazing. And we need more Anthony as Kingfisher. So that was an exciting thing that was going on. And then Quicksilver Netflix movie. Apparently, this has been announced a while back, like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it was actually announced. So Callie Hart actually announced that it was going to be made by Netflix, supposedly. Officially won the adoption. I don't know what I was saying. That's not English. Netflix officially won the adaptation rights to Quicksilver. So bad at keeping secrets, but this one was worth the wait. Quicksilver is getting a movie, guys. Netflix will be turning Fisher and Sarah's story into the most incredible feature-length visual masterpiece, and I'm officially freaking out. So she actually sat down to do a interview about it, and it's like, you know how the article summarized the book and like, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
They've optioned the rights to Quicksilver for a 7-figure deal, according to Deadline. Elizabeth Cantillon from Alien and Charlie's Angels was tapped to produce it for the Clantian Company. They've attached an amazing producer, Elizabeth Cantillon, who just got done working on Alien Romulus, which is fantastic. The author told the interviewer, Fans and theory speculation are buzzing online. Many are waiting patiently for updates. We're in the early stages of working through everything to make this really shine. They're very collaborative and inclusive. I have a very considerable voice in everything as the executive producer, which is amazing, and I'm enjoying the experience immensely. So she's working as an executive producer. She's very close. She's very inclusive, and she's a considerable voice in everything going on. So I have high hopes for it.
Yeah.
So who's gonna play Kingfisher? I gotta talk about this because I actually haven't read any of this. Okay, book talk, fan cast, online chatter. There's a serious debate. Even the author weighed in. She's like, I can't talk about any names that are actually being passed around. I mean, lots of people have been postulating and thinking about who would make a good Kingfisher and who would make a good Carrion. They're ranging from unknown up and coming actors to very big names, so it's exciting. Everyone wants Henry Cavill for everything, and of course you could picture him in anything too, so it works. But I think a very talented up and coming person is also equally as exciting, so I can't wait.
Yeah, be good.
So they really do want Henry Cavill to just play everybody all the time. I feel
that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Apparently there's this thing now that the AI chats like to put lots of dashes in their work, apparently, when AI writes things. And so there's this big trend where everyone's like, oh, if I see a lot of dashes in a book, I'm going to assume that it's AI or has to be AI. And then there's like some writers that are like writers that actually just use the dashes a lot when they write naturally, and so now there's like I've seen several people go around and like they're actually like trying to delete all the dashes out of their work, and I'm like,
honestly, commas and semicolons and colons have been going out for a long time, and we've all just been replacing it with the EM dash, and then you use the EN dashes. Like Heather has been editing, as I didn't know there was a difference between an EN dash and EM dash and just the regular dash. There's different purposes for them, and Heather actually has been editing them, so I've just now learned the rules, and that's what I use for the most part all the time. If you have, like in a sentence, if you have a takeaway, you can separate it with commas, but like it's just more aesthetically pleasing to use EM dashes. So that's it. Like, oh my god, are my books gonna be AI just because thought to be AI just because I use EM dash? Like, there's actually like memes online about grammatical, how you argue with your editor about, you must remove your EM dash. It's like, no, that sort of thing. And it's like, it's how popular using EM dashes is. The reason why AI is doing it is because we've been doing it for years. Like, it's just, but wow, people are.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
The witch hunt is starting to really get on my nerves. Like, I don't like AI, but I don't like the witch hunt for it even more because it's the pitchforks. The pitchforks villagers coming to like burn people at the stake, and I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, me neither. And
so, that's interesting, though. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's just kind of like I don't know. It just people are so nitpicky. Like, social media is so nitpicky now that I'm just like, it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, can people just like chill out and enjoy your life? Like, why do they have to be so uptight about every single thing all the time?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I can understand getting mad if somebody put the prompt in there, because I did read a controversy where they actually found, I think we talked about
that's different. Yeah. And it's like,
a little thing like EM dashes, just because that's a really actually common thing a lot of authors do. So that's just so
it's annoying. Okay, what was your next one?
George R. Martin, actually, because The Winds of Winter. And so after years of inconsistent updates, apparently he dropped the biggest news for A Dream of Spring. I didn't know that's what that was called, because I thought it was called The Winds of Winter. I don't know what I'm talking about. Apparently. So he admits doubts about A Dream of Spring ending after years of fan pressure. So he provided news. He has constantly shared bits and pieces of updates about The Winds of Winter. Okay, so I guess the whatever spring is the next book after that, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
No, so it is the Winds of Winter. I do know what I'm talking about. Amid a long rant, he revealed the possibility that he may never actually finish both The Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring. If he ever did and got both of them published, the ending is something that fans would never like. He said, I will never finish Winds. If I do, I will never finish A Dream of Spring. If I do, it won't be any good.
Yeah, I've heard that quote before. It's so sad. They're bullying and they're bullying him, and it just I'm like, for people that claim to love a series and are passionate about a series, they are so rude to the creator of that series. Like I would never like I've ranted about George Lucas selling Star Wars before, like because I didn't agree with that decision at all, and I feel like it ruined Star Wars by selling it and everything that's come after it, literally everything. But it's like I would never actively go at George Lucas like I've seen some people do, and like I don't know. I would never actively do that. Like if Sarah J. Maas were to make a decision in one of her books that I didn't agree with, that's fine. Or if she's taking a while to read Akatar 6, some people are like bullying her about it, and I'm just like, let them be. And it's like they are bullying him relentlessly, and I'm like, I hope you never get the next book in the series because of how horrible these people are treating him. Now, like, obviously if you love the series, then yeah, you're gonna want next book. But it's like, if you are one of those people that are actively bullying him about it, I hope you never get it. And I hope your pillow is warm tonight when you go to bed.
I know.
And like, your sheets are twisted, and you get a leg cramp.
Like for me, like I haven't gone back to the Republic Chronicles for a couple years. I think the last one I wrote was maybe 22 or 21.
Yeah.
Like, so it's been a while, and I feel guilty, but like I just my inspirations kind of moved on. So eventually, I plan to move. I know exactly what I need to do. Like I've actually written book 4 already once. I just need to revise characters and plot lines and rewrite it. But so it's like you got to take the time it needs to take. Like, 13 years is a long time, but still, it's like, let the author do what they need to do. Like Sarah J. Maas too. Like, she needs to take her time. Like Rebecca Yarros with Fourth Wing, we had just talked about that, how she had to announce that it wasn't, the Empyrean series, just because everybody was like wondering.
She knew that people were going to ask, and that was the thing. She's like, I know, and I appreciate that, and I'm like, I like how transparent she was about that. Like people knew, she told people already that she wasn't going to write it yet. But it's like, just that one person, those one specific group of people that would be like, is this the next, I bet this is the next Fourth Wing book. I bet the next Fourth Wing book. We're going to get Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Stop. Chill.
So my next one is not one that we actually know a lot about, or at least I don't. But the Wheel of Time is a book. I don't know who it was written by, but it's been turned into a TV series. And after its widely praised 3rd season, The Wheel of Time was canceled by Prime Video due to financial reasons, according to Deadline. The news came as a shock to the show's loyal fan base, who sprang into action with an impressive campaign to save the show. They have a petition that's actually nearing 200,000 signatures in billboards in major cities, and even an aerial billboard flown above Amazon Studios in Culver City, California, because they are trying to save this show. So there's a lot of like stars and creatives who have had their say in the cancellation and stuff. So the showrunner said, I've been asked the same question many times last week. Why was The Wheel of Time canceled? And the truth is, I don't know. I wish I could say something clear and tidy that explains all those who love it why it's coming to an end, but sadly I can't. What I can say is that the actors and crew are the most talented and wonderful group of people I've ever had the pleasure to work with. And that was on his Instagram.
It's probably not making enough money and views compared to like, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like that's where I feel like Book Talk is like either it's partly it's helped the book industry, but it's also hurt the book industry, because if something goes viral and a show or a series isn't doing as good as that one book that went viral, then these companies think that it's a failure and it's not worth their time. And I feel like that's what's happened with this, is that the series isn't as popular as like Fourth Wing or Throne of Glass, because just because it didn't I don't know, because it didn't go viral. And I honestly probably, because they said it was with finances, it's not making enough money as what the company thinks it should to continue it, and they want to put what money they are putting into it into another series that they think will do better. Probably the reality of it. So
too is like when you think about Prime, I don't know any other big shows that come to mind that are like kind of interesting. So it's like, what other shows do they have on there that is strictly Prime? Because I know you
yeah.
can rent series that belong elsewhere that you can do on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what else do they have in the studio
I
that's
know the
doing
Ring of
as good?
Power. The Ring of Power, but like that one, the Ring of Power was like decent, but it's, I don't know, it's Lord of the Rings fans are very extremely passionate about their lore, for good reason. Because we have books, like history books, on the lore. So it's like if something doesn't connect quite right, or if something's rushed a little bit, people are very nitpicky about it. So it's like that's the only one that comes to mind that's like an original Amazon Prime original that I know of that would be like book related that's big. But even then, there's like I know there's like sign. I thought there was a sign for another new season, but there's like it had a couple seasons in it so far. But I don't know if they've signed in for a third season or what that's looking like right now. But
yeah. But another thought that came to me too is like, I feel like budgets for things these days are so high that it's like, if the show is not going to go absolutely viral, it's really hard to earn back the money that people
oh yeah,
spend on movies, and especially
mm-hmm.
movies. Movies are worse than TV shows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, it's just like they use so much money to make these things when it's like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like all of the money that they're spending is necessary for a lot of these. That may not be the case for Wheel of Time. I don't know what the actual finances are.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
well, and it's like you had movies from like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s that were made with a quarter of the budget and are 1,000 times better. And I'm like, how do the like how that math doesn't add that math is not mathing. Like what's going on? And it's like you know what I'm saying? Like it's just but it's like then it's like, you know, the concept of like wages and the argument for like how much these actors are asking to be paid is a lot. Yeah, and so it's like that kind of accounts for part of it, I'm sure. Not a very large part of it, but it still probably accounts for a portion of it at least. Let's see. What was it? Oh, the actor that's playing Haymitch in the new Hunger Games movie said he's read Sunrise on the Reaping twice. So we have an actor that knows the lore of the book that he's playing. What character he's playing. Applause for him. My last point that I wanted to mention, I've mentioned this theory before, but I'm seeing people talking about it again. So apparently at the end of Mist and Fury, at the end of Court of Mist and Fury, that's whenever we have like Feyre sisters that come into play, and you have the whole incident with the cauldron and all that. Apparently at one point it says that Lucian looks between Elaine and Tamlin with horror.
And Tamlin what? You cut off.
It says that Lucian looks between Elaine and Tamlin with horror. And so some people there's a theory going around that we know that Lucian can see glamour and that kind of thing, and see the ties between people. And so apparently there's a theory going around that he saw the mating bond between Tamlin and Elaine and panicked and said that he was her mate. And then when all that settled and Feyre goes back to Valerius with the Night Court, that the Lucian that's there is actually Tamlin that's shapeshifted.
I don't know about the shape-shifting thing. I think that would be cool, but
the shape-shifting's a little far-fetched, but I
lying about it to cover up or to, I don't know, his motivations. I love that theory though, that he saw it and lied about it. I'm okay with either one, if it is Tamlin shape-shifting or if it's just trying to cover it up.
I think combining I don't want Elaine with Azriel. One of the One of the three girls that one of the girls that what's her face? Silver Flames. What's her face? Feyre's other sister. Nesta. There's one of the girls that Nesta from the library that Nesta really gets. There was one of the girls. I can't remember if it's from the library or which girl it is because it's been a hot minute since I've read that series. But there's one of the girls, Gwyneth, I think. Like there were a few moments where her and Asriel were like it like portrayed from Nesta's perspective, and again, she's a flawed character, so she's not going to give us a 100% view of how they were interacting, but like her character took note of like them two interacting together or being comfortable, like her being growing comfortable with him, and it's like in my head I want someone like that for Asriel. I do not like Elaine. I think she's whiny. I think she's spoiled. I think she's entitled. I think that she's been given whatever she wants for so long, and because she's considered the sweetest sister, that she can never do any wrong. And I am on one of the lines that I think that either that Sarah should make her actually be like a really bad sister that's playing this image of a really sweet sister. I don't know. That, or I want her to actually be helpful to the plot for once in her life. Other than making some vague statement, vague seer statement that, you know what I'm saying? I want her to actually be helpful for once. I don't want her with Asriel. I feel like that would be too, like, the three Bat Boys with the three sisters. Like, it just, so cliche.
Yeah, a little coincidental. I think she's perfect for Tamlin because she needs somebody to protect and pamper, and she needs to be pampered and protected. So they are perfect for each other.
Yeah, I think so too.
I feel like he can become interesting through Tamlin, and he can get redeemed through her. I feel like their arcs would drive each other.
Okay, if she puts her with Asriel, Elaine needs to become interesting. She needs to become helpful. She needs to have a crap ton of character growth and development. And
like
way more than Nesta. Like for that to even, I don't know. Like I'm gonna support Sarah J. Maas as her. I would say she is probably my favorite author other than you, obviously, like for obvious reasons. But it's like she is one of my favorites. Like I have a very small list of favorite authors, and I would say Suzanne Collins is one. I would say for just like the emotions that she can write into her books is insane. But like in Sarah J. Maas, like the way that she can bounce between genre, like variations of fantasy genres, and still, I don't know, I can't go into detail for what I'm saying because it could, anyway. But yeah, and I want to read it regardless. If she ends up shipping the two of them together, that's fine. I'll still read it. I'll still enjoy it. But it's like I'm going to be looking for a lot of character growth and development. A lot of like, she needs to be humbled. She needs to stop being whiny. Like she needs to become independent. And Elaine is not independent at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just haven't seen any of her. Like she's not been a character of significance at all.
Yeah, I feel like I can see, I want her like you to have this character arc where she grows because she's kind of just been the same the whole time, which is kind of like a flat character arc. Like not all character arcs have to actually be an arc, but that makes them more interesting, especially for people like us who love character driven stuff. I feel like she can have a different character arc where she doesn't have to necessarily become like strong female lead kind of stuff because that's oversaturated. You know, so but I don't know how she would become interesting. That's the thing is my brain can't think of how you would do that.
Sarah's like a good enough writer that she could do it. Like I have no doubt in my mind that she could do it. But it's like I don't know. I feel like I wasn't instant. I feel like my words were kind of I didn't explain it well enough. I don't want Elaine to be this really, really strong Nesta type character because she's not. But I want her to stop being whiny. I want her to actually genuinely be helpful other than making some vague statement. Like she'll make some random statements that kind of somewhat connect to the plot later on in the story, but it's like it's not essential. Like, they didn't need her statement to figure it out.
Another thing, too, that I feel like the next book needs to do, since we're on this topic, we kind of don't know what the plot is, because it's kind of like everything's fun. Like, Nesta found some artifacts that may need to be artifacts for something, but I feel like there's no plot anymore, because Sarah and Rhysand's story was kind of wrapped up, and so the King of Hybern and that whole thing was like the wrapped up situation. Like, Nesta had a plot for her book, like an overarching plot, and I guess there's some stuff that happened there with the tension with the mountain people. I don't even remember their names, anything.
Okay, we're going into a territory where I have to stop talking now.
Yeah. My thing is, like, how is Elaine supposed to serve the plot if there's nothing happening and there's no bad guy and there's nothing, and it's like, it just needs.
I can't talk anymore. I can't talk anymore. I'm sorry. I will give away spoilers, okay? I will give away major things, and I can't talk. Okay.
It's like, what? I gotta lower my register, so I'll talk like this. It's like, what does Throne of Glass and Crescent City have to do with Akatar? I don't understand. I don't know why I started having an accent now all of a sudden, but yeah, here we are. It's like, what in the world does that have to do with Akatar having a plot? That's what I want to know. Like, I am so confused. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna read this book, because I need to get. You're killing me. You're killing me here. Through this dang book.
I know. I'm sorry.
But you give me just enough. It's like when we're dog training the dogs today, and you put the treat in front of their mouth to get them to walk where you want them to go, and it's like, I want the dang treat. I don't want to walk.
You've done 5 tricks, and I still haven't given you the treat. You're on trick number 8, and I still haven't given you the treat yet.
Like, what more do I gotta do to get some of that stuff? Seriously.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I'm not today the dog trainer that we go to these dog training classes, and she actually cut up bits of summer sausage, and I didn't know it at the time, and she gave them to me, and I looked at them, I'm like, I really want to eat this. And I was like, I felt bad, because I'm like, here I am wanting these dog treats. She was like, I think Alicia had asked her what it was, and she's like, oh, I had some summer sausage and cut them up, and I'm like, oh, well, that makes more sense because it's human food, and
that's
it's
hilarious. It makes me think of the episode of Big Bang Theory where like Sheldon is very particular about things, and Penny is the exact opposite of his personality, and she irritates him to no end. But he did this thing where he had this little box of chocolates, and every time she would correct herself to fix what he didn't like, he would reward her with chocolate. Oh my god, it makes me think of that. Like, oh, would you like chocolate? And Leonard knows right off the bat what's happening. And it's like Penny's just, oh, thanks. Oh, thanks. It's like you finish a book, want a chocolate? It's like you finished Throne of Glass, want a chocolate?
If I don't get something when I read the ending of this book,
we can go to a coffee shop. I'll buy you coffee. How about that?
I'll get the paninis.
I'll get you a panini.
Really good. Yeah.
I'll buy you a panini. Or I can make you a panini too. I'll make you a dish. I'll make you a meal. I had this like hamburger and potatoes cheesy bake thing tonight, and it was really good. Like you slice the potatoes really thin, and you put melted butter on it, and then you put it in a baking dish, and you let it like on 400 for like 20 minutes so the potatoes cook, and then you mix ground beef, a can of cream of mushroom, half a cup of milk, and then shredded cheese, and you mix all that together with whatever seasonings you want. Then you put that on top of more cheese, then you bake it for another 15 minutes. It's like
you're making me so.
It's like scallop. I don't like scalloped potatoes because I feel like the texture's weird, but it's like scalloped potatoes but better.
Yeah, I getcha.
Yeah, sorry, I get sidetracked with food, but you know, you know this about me already. Okay.
But yeah.
We have talked for almost an hour and a half.
Hey, we had a lot
We
to
needed
talk
it,
about,
though. Yeah, we needed it, though. We had
We
2
needed
whole
it.
weeks worth of stuff.
Yeah. But hopefully by the next time we talk, I guess a week is too soon because for me
We
to
can
say
do,
that I want to have this. But well, no, we'll still do our weekly check. And I was just
We'll just
saying,
do,
like,
like,
by the next
midweek,
time we talk, I want to have this done. But I'm like, wait a second, that's a week from now. I don't think I can get this done in a week. Unrealistic expectations. But
Oh, my gosh.
But yeah, so what are you guys reading, and what are your January? Why was I gonna say January? June TBRs. Like, let us know.
I was earlier. I was thinking, and I was writing down ideas for my July TBR because I'm like, because you're talking about Quicksilver a lot, and I'm like, I need to read that book at some point. So it's like,
Funny.
yeah.
The full narration audiobook, please, for the love of God.
I have one audible. I have one audible credit. I will save it for Quicksilver.
You need Kingfisher's voice in your life.
Okay, to be fair, I will use it for Quicksilver because I have Crescent City Book 3 is on Hoopla, the dramatized version, and both parts are on Hoopla. I think.
Hey,
I have to double check. I should double check that. But yeah.
Yeah.
I would have listened to Eldest, which is the current book. Literally, Hoopla, my local Hoopla, only has the Spanish version, and I'm not that knowledgeable in Spanish.
There's some Spanish on Duolingo, but I don't know if you're that quick yet.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah.
All right, guys. We will probably see you at some point next week. Probably late week. I don't know. Do we want to keep it midweek?
Yeah.
We could do a sooner one, later one. I don't know.
It sometime. Hopefully by the next time we talk, I will have this one done though, and get to be starting.
You're almost done with it. It looks like you're almost done with it anyway. So I think honestly, I could see you.
Yeah, and the chapters from here on out are going to go fast, and there's going to be a lot of character and fast things, and just I think I'm going to go quickly through this part.
Yeah.
I'm not annoyed with it yet. The beginning was a struggle because some of that's like the OG, like not really because there's a lot of new stuff, 80,000 words of new stuff, but this latter part is still holding up, and I am still like, oh my god, I'm so excited. I want to know what's happening next, and like, I'm still excited too. So.
Sweet, awesome. All right. Well, we will talk to you guys later. Again, if there's any like drama, apparently, I don't know, there was talk about TikTok being banned again. I have no idea. If you wake up in the morning and it's banned,
let us know or something.
Let us know.
Make a comment
We're both on Instagram. I'm on Tome. Yep. Joanna is signed up for Tome, but it hasn't been. She's signed up for Tome.
But I haven't posted.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? At this point, I will be glad to get rid of TikTok Book Talk. It wastes so much of my time, and people are way too drama and picky and cancel happy. Get rid of it. I'm done with it. I don't need it anymore in my life. But some people need it. So we'll see you guys later. I quit. I need to quit yapping.
See you guys later.
All right. Bye.